Thank you very much. I really appreciate to be here in Taiwan. It's also my very first time, and I learned a lot today. And I want to share some information we've done regarding cross-border, and especially regarding doing business on marketplaces. So we are in a really special time right now. So we are in a time of a platform economy. So there are a lot of platforms, and we learned a lot of from platforms like Zipcar or Line or something like that, that they are growing very, very fast. And a lot of business is really acting on these kind of platforms. So like Alibaba or eBay, or in partly also Amazon, they are really huge shopping malls, but they don't have even one product by themselves. Okay, Amazon do, as we've learned, have half-half. But there's also other platforms like in the cinema business or in the communication business or something like that. So it's really a special time where we are right now. So, and if we look on the e-commerce side of the platforms, we have, for example, that 60% of the whole demand on marketplaces are at these three operators. So it's Amazon, it's eBay, and it's Alibaba. So I will show you some information, some figures from our ranking and analysis, especially about marketplaces, because in my point of view, if you want to do cross-border e-commerce, the best thing to start with this is on marketplaces. So if we look a little bit deeper on marketplaces, on the operators, here I've got the top 10 operators of marketplaces. As we have seen before, Amazon, then eBay and Alibaba. So these numbers are from May this year. And at that time, Alibaba was half about Amazon regarding the demand. And I will be very interested in seeing this number at the end of this year if Alibaba is jumping up at this point. Then, for example, if you see names like Naspers, Craigslist, and Schibsted, maybe you haven't heard about this companies. Naspers is from South Africa. Craigslist is one we have heard a little bit before regarding Carousel, and Schibsted. Schibsted is from Sweden. So they are huge operators. Some of them are media companies, and most of them are running C2C or classified marketplaces. In my point of view, these kind of classified marketplaces are very interesting for e-commerce companies, for retailers as well, because they have a lot of demand. There are a lot of users using this kind of classifieds. And in my point of view, it would be very interesting for retailers also to have a look on classifieds and how to sell their product, their new products on these kind of classifieds platforms. So then you can see Rakuten, very well known from Japanese, and Walmart, the huge company in US, Jingdong from China, and Allegro. Maybe you haven't heard about Allegro yet. It's a Polish marketplace, and they are very huge in Poland, and there's a lot of traffic there. So they're also interesting. If you are going to Europe, if you want to sell cross-border, maybe it's also interesting to look at Allegro. So, and this is also my topic to explain you a little bit about the business in Europe. If we look on, especially of Europe, and looking on the operators, you will see the big eBay and Amazon. These are the main marketplaces and the main operators in Europe. So, and then you can see Naspers and Schibsted. They had a lot of smaller classified marketplaces and platforms, but the really huge ones in Europe are Amazon and eBay. So, but what's very important, if you want to start your business on the marketplace, you have to understand what kind of marketplaces it is. So we started to build up a DNA of marketplaces. And in our point of view, it's very important that you match your DNA, because you also have a DNA. What kind of retailers are you? What are you selling? In which way? That you match this kind of DNA, your own DNA, with the DNA of the marketplaces. And they're all different. So Amazon, it's not like eBay. And eBay, it's not like Zalando or Zalando or Jingdong or something like that. So it's very important to understand what these kind of marketplaces looks like, and they differ in the core. Is the operator also a merchant? Are there also retailers like Amazon or like Jingdong? Or are the operators just operating the platform? And like, for example, Alibaba, Tmall, or eBay, and all the other stuff. So in our point of view, it's very important before starting your business that you have a look on what kind of marketplace it really is. Afterwards, you have to look on your value chain. Value chain means all your processes in your company when you're doing your business. So if we look on this value chain, there are a lot of parts like market analysis, the purchase, how to get products, your warehouse, stock management, the supply, the marketing, and then the checkout, order, payment, how to get the money, pick, pack, and shipping, the customer service, for example, it's very important, and the return management. Something, especially in Europe, it's coming up very, very fast that you have to present a very smart process on the return management. So these kind of value chain, that's very important that you are aware of this and that you have a look on which part of this value chain you are good at and at which part you're not so good. And then you have to go inside these processes, and then you will see, okay, do I do it by my own? Is it important for the cross-border business, or do I outsource this? So, and then, of course, you have to be very focused on the processes of the marketplaces. For this one is an example of eBay. So then you, as a retailer on the one side and eBay in the middle, and on the other side is the customer. It's very important to understand the processes there, that your process fits very well with the process of the marketplace. And the process is about how to manage the interfaces, how to get the information about the customer, how to get feedback to the platform, like tracking IDs or something like that. So as not every marketplace is the same like the other one, it's very important to understand the different processes on marketplaces. But we want to jump to Europe, and here is a map we created 2 years ago for the European Commission. They asked me if I can share a list of marketplaces of Europe, and I said, okay, no problem. I go to Google and search a little bit, and then I will get the list. So that was not right, because there was no list. There only were the most known marketplaces. And then I searched for a while, and we created this kind of map. And if you see Europe, whole Europe, it's about 50 states. The white states are the European Union, the special market economy union in Europe, that's about 28 states. What's important for you, if you want to start cross-border business to Europe, there are not only 28 states, there are also 24 languages. So on the one hand, it sounds like that Europe is more or less one area. Yes, it is one area, but they are all very different behaviors, they are very different languages. And so it's not so easy to start really in Europe. First you have to think, okay, in which country you will really start there. And but it's a very important area. There are about more than 500 million people. But before starting there, and most of them you're starting, for example, in Germany, there you have the language German, but also in UK you have English, and in France you have French. So the big three countries in the EU have three different languages and also different behaviors. For example, at the logistics. In Germany, it's more or less no problem to send the products to your customer. But for example, in French, it's very interesting that there's a lock before coming into the house. So the logistic service provider you're using needs to know the codes and the keys to get into the house, to get to the customer. So it's very difficult in French, and a lot of companies failed by doing business to France because they cannot really deliver the goods in time. But what are at the moment the most important topics for selling to Europe? In my point of view, something like tracking parcels. So at the moment we have really a lot of discussions about tracking. And in Germany or in Europe it is that you have to send the parcel in 2 days. And it has to arrive in maximum 2 days. In Germany, for example, next day. So the customer wants to know where the parcel is. And that means that you have to think about your logistic, your shipment, that it's trackable, and that you send the parcels also by with a tracking ID. Then the other thing is also with the customer wants to communicate even in Europe. And so as we have so many languages, it's very important that you are able to communicate with the customer in the native language. So it doesn't matter that you say, okay, most of them, they are speaking English. No, they don't, especially in France or in Italy or Spain. So you cannot manage your business without a customer service in the native language of your target country. And last but not least, follow the present rules and laws. We have right now a huge discussion in Europe about especially Asian retailers selling to Europe because of the rules and the laws. Right now it's like this, that we have, for example, VAT rules, so that you have to pay taxes. And as we see right now, especially from China, retailers selling to Germany via Amazon, via FBA, the fulfillment by Amazon. And if you sell on a platform, or if you even sell in your online shop on a platform to a European consumer, you have to pay VAT to the country. That means that you have to add on your price the VAT, and the VAT is about 19% in Germany. It's from 17 to 25% in Europe, so it's different. In Sweden it's 25%, for example. In UK it's 20%. So it's very important because all the marketplaces, if you're looking on the marketplaces, they say you can buy this item for €100, including VAT. If you're not getting, or if you're not taking this money and giving it to the German or French authority, the finance department, this is a failure, and this is really a problem what we have in Europe right now. So please pay attention on the rules and on the laws. For example, if you're selling electronic goods to Europe, you have to register yourself in Europe, in each country where you sell electronic goods. And that's very important that you understand this. Maybe it's not the same in your country, but you're not selling in your country anymore, you're selling to other countries, then please take care that you know the rules. And how do you get the rules? How did you get the information? The first point I would say is networking. Use networking like this year, like this event or other events, to get in touch with other retailers who are doing this cross-border thing, and to learn what they've learned, and to ask. And in my point of view, that's very important. It's not only important to understand something about the other countries, you learn also about better processes, better experiences, and, for example, also new sales channels when you're doing more networking. So that was a little bit about Europe, and as I am here in Asia, and I also want to learn from you, and I would like to show you some of the results regarding Asia from our ranking. And in our ranking is regarding the operators in the Asia-Pacific regions. The biggest one, of course, is Alibaba, but also Amazon, especially in Japan, it's very huge. It's big regarding the demand. And what we have seen, for example, the best performer, so in our ranking, the platforms who are climbing up the ranking in the first half year, that we can see on the first three steps, they are Asian platforms. And for example, there's Zuning on the top, who steps up 21 steps in our ranking. We from China, 58.com, and Lazada, we from Malaysia. So it looks like that, especially marketplaces here in the Asia region are very famous, and they're growing very, very fast. So it's very interesting for us to see what's going on here in Asia. And these are, in our ranking, the top 25 Asian marketplaces. So we can see we have on rank number 19, we have Ruten from Taiwan. It's a classifieds platform, as I know, and these are so the ranking is beginning with the Alibaba platforms from Taobao, AliExpress, and Tmall. And but what I've learned in the last month is that AliExpress is especially, it's very famous in Russia, for example, and in Poland, and so they are doing very good business in these kind of areas. And what I think is very surprising is about Amazon in Japan. As I know, 3 years ago, Amazon in Japan was not very famous and not very big. Rakuten was the Japanese marketplaces, and now Amazon is bigger than Rakuten. So in my point of view, it's very important to have a view on Amazon. So now the lady from Amazon is not here anymore. But even in last year, they started in China. We with the platform, they're doing very good business in India and I think in Malaysia. And I'm very interested in how Amazon will run their business in China in the next years. So they're really good to look at. Okay, that's at the end. It's all I want to explain. I'm here today and tomorrow if you want to know some more information about Europe or Germany. And if you want to get more data about the study and the analysis, you can find the study at Amazon called Marketplaces Across the World. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to the president of BVOH.